Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Has anyone else ever had legit camping scares? So my ex-wife and I went camping for my birthday. It was only us. The campsite was empty. I look behind our campsite. There is a handmade cross and some fresh earth. highnoon.mp3. We are just chilling inside the tent. I notice someone just parked outside our camping spot. I open the tent up. A random guy pulls a camera back into his truck and takes off. We continue camping because we love nature. Later that night, I am making dinner. We hear a tailgate to a truck slam. Mind you, there is nobody else in the entire campground. We kind of brushed it off. I am walking back to the tent. Nature calls. I started hearing things breaking in the woods behind me. I start seeing flashlights and multiple people in the woods. They seem to be searching for something. I grab the important stuff. I nope it right out of there. I have no idea what they wanted and was not about to stick around and find out. Pick related. It is the cross that I found behind our camping spot.
I have one that doesn't involve ghosts, werewolf, or cryptids of any kind. Just think that I witnessed a murder or something else and did nothing to stop it. Be me, a teenager. I was basically fed up and wanted to do something different during my high school holidays. I was 15 at the time. This was back in 2004. A friend of mine invites me to go camping with him in this place called Ilha do Mel, which literally translates to Honey Island. During high season, it is full of normies and families, but off-season, it is just natives and people who want to get high and abuse drugs. We obviously decided to go in the off-season. I had been there with my family as a kid, but never as a grown-up. I had always stayed at the island's main hotel when I went there. It was my first time camping, so I was very excited. After a long day of bus and ferry, we finally reached the destination. I am sort of worn out. We have a beer and a burger at the island's only open diner at this time of the year. While there, I overheard a girl speaking English. I look in her direction. It was a group of 3 girls. They were talking to this rough, native-looking guy. They did not look like they knew the local language, Portuguese. They seemed to be getting by speaking broken Spanish and trying some easy English words here and there. It seemed like they were trying to buy something, or he was offering them something, drugs likely. I was too tired to try and strike up a conversation with them, so fuck it. I just munch my burger and light up a ciggy after I am done. While my friend and I are smoking, a boorish geezer approaches us. He literally says, "Psst, hey kid," at us, and I'm not even joking. I say, "Yeah, what up, my dude?" He asks, "You guys camping? 'Cause I know a nice cheap place." We look at each other and basically think, nah. Then he says, "It's $5 a night, open space only about 50 meters from the sea, has an outhouse and you can smoke as much as you want, and if you need it we can arrange it for you." It is actually a much better deal than everything we had seen so far. Of course, it looks like the geezer is going to rob us the first chance he gets, but then again, this is how everyone looks in the place, so, hey. We were 15 and stupid, so we accepted his offer and went with him to the place. It turns out he was not lying. It is quite an all-right place. He has a small house at the place wherein he lives with his wife. There is also a shed and the aforementioned outhouse. As we arrive, his wife greets us and literally offers us lizard soup. She says, "Lizard soup, it stinks but tastes good." Or so she says. We say, "Nah, we're good. Just want to set up our tent and sleep through the night." Okie dokie. We pay for the night and for the next 4 days. I woke up the next day feeling refreshed. I light up a cigarette. Let's explore. Ah, yes, we explored the island. We are basically out the entire day. We come back at night, quite tired. When I notice a strange man walking into the camp, he passes us by, does not say a word, and goes straight to the camp owner's house. I hear some laughter. I figure they are friends, whatever. The guy comes out after some time and comes up to me. He asks, "You got a cig, kid?" I say, "Sure, here you go, Bray." He lights up the cigarette. He says, "It's a nice night, eh?" I say, This guy is odd. He looks like someone I know. It really feels like I know him, but I cannot quite put my finger on where I have seen him before. He says something under his breath and then pulls out a hunting knife out of his jean shorts. He asks, "You guys ever open up a lizard or a pig?" I say, "No." He says, "Gotta learn how to do it if you live here. Not much to eat, especially if you do not make a lot of money." He asks us if we want to catch some lizards with him in the deep of the island. I'm not sure what to say. I do not want to upset the guy. He looks unstable. Then he starts laughing. He says, "Just messing with you, kid. Hey, got another one of those cigs so I can smoke one later in the night." I say, "Sure, man, here you go, ha ha ha." He leaves. Felt spooked, but the owner of the camp assured me that's just how the guy was. He said the guy was married but lost his wife in some sort of accident. Living on an island by yourself does things to you, I imagine, so we didn't really question much. On the third day, it sort of hits me who the guy was that asked for a cig. He was the same guy who was talking to the foreign girls I saw on the first day at the island. I recognized him because of a cap he was using of the biggest football team in our state. The third day is coming to an end. I am really, really tired. We walked and explored or covered a sizable part of the island. It was sort of raining lightly. My friend had already gone to sleep. It is about midnight. I went to smoke before I get some shut-eye. I go to the tent. I sleep. I hear thudding. I hear a muffled noise in the distance. I am groggy. I am rummaging for my phone. I check the time. It is 3-something a.m. It is still raining. Stronger now, though. I hear the sound of a door opening. I hear a dragging sound. Shh. Yep, it sounds like plastic being dragged on the ground. I hear the sound of the door again. I have to piss. Right as I'm about to unzip my tent, I hear dragging and muffled noise again. I hear the door closing. I quietly unzip the tent and go out to the outhouse to take a piss. While pissing, I stare at the wall. The outhouse is made of wood and has somewhat large cracks through which you can see. I hear the door opening. I see the same odd hunting knife guy coming out of the shed and going into the deep woods or dark. I sort of freeze for some reason. I remain there for what is 5 or 6 minutes. I see him coming back up. He is carrying a large bag, and I swear I hear some form of crying from it. I can fucking see there is something moving inside the bag. He drags it to the shed and closes the door. I wait a bit. I wait a bit more. He does not come out. I sprint to my friend's tent and quietly tap on the outside. He opens up his tent. I go inside. I tell him what I saw, and he thinks I am fucking with him. We wait silently inside the tent. After a while, we hear a noise. Loud banging noises, more muffled noises, more banging noises. We hear the guy cursing out loud. A door slams. Sounds of someone pacing around in a hurried manner. He bangs on the camp owner's door. It sounds like it. We hear a conversation. More dragging sounds and doors opening and closing. This keeps going on for a good 30 minutes or so. My friend has been shitting himself for the past minutes. I am just speechless. We are just looking at each other, not knowing what to do. After a while, the noises seem to stop. The rain increases. It is ridiculously strong at this point. We just sit inside the tent without uttering a word. Time passes by. The rain begins to die down. Look at my cell phone. It is around 5 a.m. My friend asked me what we should do. I tell him we should just stay awake. We stay awake till 8 a.m., literally doing nothing inside the tent. Once the rain stops, we go out. It seems like no one but us is at the camp. We start packing our things up. No shits given. We just pack everything as fast as we can. We leave before anyone comes back. We go and take the first ferry in the morning back to the closest town. Thank God it was our last day there. We even left some money as a tip to the camp owner. Never bothered looking inside the shed to see if there was anything weird. Never bothered waiting. Never bothered doing anything about it. Just called it quits right there and then and got the hell out of the place as soon as we could.
Anticlimactic, but survivors don't stick their nose where it doesn't belong.
My grandpa passed away a few years ago, but back in the day he used to be pretty big into camping and such, and would have frequent trips to the woods with his camper, or sometimes they'd just set up some tents and a fire, and this is one of two things that happened to him that he used to talk about. I am camping in the Windy Peak area in Colorado. I get a fire going as the sun starts to set, chilling with my friend and having some drinks. I see my friend staring up at the ridge behind him, before pointing and asking, "You see that?" I turn to look and see some sort of black figure skylining itself against the top of the ridge. My friend takes his rifle and fires a warning shot into the ridge below where the figure was moving about. The figure suddenly bolts down the ridge like a bat out of hell, and we both see multiple black figures suddenly rushing down the ridge. My friend starts shooting at the figures, but with every shot they seem to just quicken their pace. He and his friend get up and rush back to their camper to get the hell out of there. The figures get so close at one point as they are running that they can hear them panting. They drive off back into the nearest town. They check their camper in the morning to see a tuft of black hair stuck in the side of the camper. My grandpa used to have heavy drinking issues, but the only times he told this story he always had this real serious look in his eyes, and something always told me he wasn't exaggerating any details. I've been camping in the area as well, and have heard stories of hermits setting up in the area, but the details are always foggy.
I cannot use Greentext. This is my first ever post here. I have tons of creepy real camping stories, but the one that was most mysterious was not from the times in the deep woods, but rather at the old part of the Fremont State Lakes in Nebraska. My parents used to drop me off with my tent and supplies at age 10-ish. During that previous day, we walked a long area of woods and discovered a bum's home's remains. It looked quite abandoned. My dog was a pretty brave Dalmatian. I have seen her try and attack 2 mating boas in the woods before. She literally was never afraid. So anyways, later that night, well past dark, very late, like 2 a.m., I was camping across the cove from said woods. This area is the original lakes from probably the early 1900s. I was out of firewood and decided to make the trip to the woods. Yeah, sure, it was plenty creepy, but I gave no real damns. I had my dog, probably some tool or knife knowing me, and a flashlight. I headed into the woods. I had to go in quite a ways for any decent firewood, at least 100 yards. I was bending down to pick up firewood with my light down. I heard growling. I shined my light at my dog, who was behind me towards the way we came in. She is legit hunched down in attack mode with her hair standing up and slowly but not wasting any time backpedaling. She was fucking backing out on me. That was seriously unheard of for this dog. She was brave as shit. I immediately scanned the area in front of me. It was granted pretty heavy with smaller growth, but if someone or something was there, I could not see it, or it was hiding. Knowing that she would not do that unless something really serious was right on top of us, I booked it the fuck out of there. She darted way faster ahead of me, which kinda pissed me off at the time. Anyways, I got back to camp. I never thought the same about those woods. I had no more issues, but I definitely kept an eye out until I passed out. Another time I was camping at the base of Crater Lake Volcano in Oregon. It was fairly deep woods with an old dirt road to get in there. I was on a long cross-country road trip with a good friend. We were shooting it up the whole trip as he brought his .38 and some other handguns. This area was all ponderosa pines. The wind sounded so ominous as it blew through because the pines are all trunk up to 100 feet up. So it is just wind blowing across thousands of poles. It was a crazy old area that was clearly an old gold mining camp. There was an old wooden shitting board with a hole cut out between 2 trees. There was an old foundation, a dry creek bed, and old rusty tools and wagon wheels, etc. It was a really cool area. You should check it out if you get the chance. So we get all liquored up as we basically did at every camping spot. We set up a pilot fire to see if anything, particularly wildlife, was wandering up on us. We had a great time bullshitting and drinking it up. It is late and the night is done. We are tent camping like real adventurers. Quite a while after we had passed out, mind you, there are no neighbors, as this was pretty deep forest, I woke up to something right outside the tent. It has to be about 4 a.m. or so. My buddy is passed out cold. It sounds like two men talking, well, whispering in a very ominous tone. It was as if they were seriously discussing an attack, or most likely theft. But even though I could not quite make out what they were saying, it was easy to tell their plans were not good. I slowly and silently reach out and grab the .38. I wait for what seems like an eternity of them going back and forth in an argumentative tone. Wake up. It is like 9:30. The sun is up and it is time to get the day going. Phew, it must have been a dream. I look down and I am hugging that .38.
Not paranormal, but pretty creepy and 100% true. I was camping in the Pacific Northwest in a site close to Carnation, Washington. A good campground I've been to a few times is less than an hour drive from Seattle. Early in the season, so the campground was mostly empty. I was camping with my wife, 2 young kids, and Dad. We see a guy camped in a corner spot a few spots down, nothing out of the ordinary, until sundown. We hear him start chopping wood as we start dinner. Okay, still chopping as we finish. Huh? Still chopping as we sit around the fire roasting marshmallows. Still chopping as we get ready for bed. I walk past his site to see what's going on. He's shirtless next to a huge fire with an even huger pile of firewood, chopping furiously. I mean that literally. He's cursing and grunting with each chop like he's delivering the death blow to a hideous monster. I slowly back away and we go to bed. He doesn't stop or slow down. I'm lying in my sleeping bag with the bear mace in one hand and a headlamp in the other, knife on my waistband, listening to him chop and curse and chop, waiting for him to stop and decide he'd rather chop flesh instead and come charging to our campsite. But he doesn't. He just keeps chopping. He's like a raging wood chopping machine. I fall asleep around 5 a.m. to the sound of his furious chopping. When I wake around 8, the chopping has stopped. I get up and walk past his site. He's reclining in a lawn chair next to the normal-sized fire drinking a cup of coffee, fully clothed. He nods to me as I walk past like he's the most normal camper on the planet. The wood is gone. We pack up and leave not too long after.
Okay, this one's very, very long, so bear with me because it's very strange. Not really a camping story, but it involves the woods behind my old home. Be me, a 13-year-old. I recently got suspended from school for a week because I gave a kid named Kyle a lesson in Newton's third law to the back of his head with my science textbook. My mom has been planning a little trip with her friends and thinks that this is the perfect opportunity to teach me responsibility. My mother is essentially 4chan's idea of a normal woman, by which I mean she is really shallow and not all the way there, if you get where I'm coming from. She leaves me in charge of the house while she and her friends have fun in Florida for the week. She instructs me to shut the curtains at night and lock all the doors, and gives me a ton of microwavable food, and instructs me to absolutely not try cooking with the stove on my own. She tells me that the neighbors who live way up the road know I am here alone, and she gives me their number in case I need to call them. When I was 7, we had an attempted break-in, and my mom got really nervous, so we got this baby Great Dane that she named Kaiser. I know she wanted him to be a real killer, and he grew up big, but the only thing he liked to do was sleep and sometimes chase away turkeys in the yard. On Thursday, I let Kaiser out in the back, and he immediately chased off 2 deer that were grazing out there. After a little while of watching him run around and roll in the grass, I went inside to make some tea. I stopped when I heard Kaiser pawing at the door and whining like he needed to be let in or something. And when I opened it, he slowly trotted inside and let out a big yawn. He went over to the couch and just dropped dead. I do not know why he was so tired. It was 2 in the afternoon and he was just lively earlier. I went outside to have my tea and do some homework, but after a while I noticed that there were not any birds or really anything outside. Not even bugs, and it is the middle of March, and the whole forest was completely silent. I started feeling a little tired and got up to go back inside, but as I got up I looked at the tree line and saw something at the top of one of the trees, staring at me. It looked like a big black turkey. There was a little red in it, sort of like the skin on a vulture that I had seen in books in school, or like the little gobbler thing that turkeys have on their chins. The tree line was really far out there, probably about 700 meters out or more, but this thing looked big even from the house. I heard Kaiser whining and howling inside, and he was sitting at the window staring at me like he was telling me to come inside. I turned around and the thing stretched its wings and flapped them a bit. Now, I am no expert, but this thing had an enormous wingspan, like Michael Phelps of birds enormous, so big that it looked bigger than the tree it was perched on, and then the trees next to it. I went inside, locked the door, and sat down on the couch with Kaiser, and we both fell asleep. I do not even know why. I was just tired, like really, really tired. Friday night. I was getting so tired, but I was hungry. I went downstairs to make some hot fucking pockets when I realized that I had not closed the curtains again. When I went up to close them, I started hearing crunching outside. I could even feel each crunch in my feet. The kitchen lights were on, and I could not see anything out there, so I went to go turn them off, and when I looked outside again, I saw this massive turkey stalking around my backyard, probably just over 50 meters out now that I recall it. I squinted and propped up my glasses, and I could tell that it was not a turkey because it had this long, bobbing neck with a big, heavy-looking beak. It sort of looked like a vulture, except the silhouette of the head was huge, like to the point that it could probably comfortably peer into the second floor of the house. It had pluming feathers on the rear that made me think of a turkey, though, but it was not. I could not make out the color of it or too many details. It just looked black, but I saw its massive size and almost pissed myself right there. I stepped back a bit slowly and I could hear it loudly cooing. I wanted to scream for Kaiser, but I was too afraid to say a thing. When the microwave went off, it looked right at the house and made a loud creaking sound, and I heard it trot off. I looked out every window in the house, and it was just gone, like it had just vanished. But I had heard a couple flaps and I assumed it took off. A fucking giant turkey that flies. Anybody else experience giant flying turkeys in New York like 2 stories tall?
Sounds like you got a cockatrice stalking your house arisen.
I thought your dog actually dropped dead for a second there.
That freaked me out too. This was only the first time I had seen Megaturkey, but every experience I had with it, Kaiser would just get really, really tired. I'd feel tired too, but not like drop-dead tired like he always was.
Sounds like an exaggerated memory to me. Also, first experience? Please tell us more. Maybe all the turkeys your dog chased off formed together to get their revenge.
Oh no, I'm entirely sure it was at least as big as a car. Maybe it seemed bigger at the time, but I had a couple weird experiences with it. A year later, at 11 p.m., I am playing Vidya all night. My mom's car is parked in the road out front, which is about 80 meters from the house, give or take. I hear a loud slam and the car alarm starts going off. When I look out the window, I see a doe running at Mach speed toward the tree line. A fucking Megaturkey is on the hood of her car. It is really dark, but in the moonlight I can see something moving around in its talon. I think it is a fawn, and it just flaps its wings and takes off really fast. It hit the car so hard that it cracked the windshield. There are big scrapes and indents on the hood from its talons. My mom calls the cops and they assume it is vandalism. I do not say anything because why the fuck would they believe that a Megaturkey did it? The cops cruise around the area and find nobody.
Told this years back. I'm in a training exercise in the Army. It is just fun, really. My platoon is in the back 40 for 3 days of refresher training. But being in the field means having guards, so we have guard shifts all night. It is the last night. A gibbous moon with patchy clouds means it is sometimes clear, sometimes very dark, but never black. I am doing my sector for my hour when I think I see movement outside the perimeter. I freeze to track it. I wait for more movement. The clouds thin and it looks like a really, really tall, very, very thin man staring back at me from 20 to 30 meters, so I wait. I'm not scared. I figure it is just another unit in training and we are testing each other. After about 20 minutes of relief, call him Rick, slips up behind me and whispers. He asks, "Is that a guy?" Rick and I whisper plans, then stride out saying halt. The moon breaks through and it is a dead tree. In the dark, it looked like a guy. We laugh. The next morning while eating, Rick and I tell the tale. Another guy, Scott, says there is no tree there. We go to look. We see my footprints in the grass from standing still, and we see where Rick and I walked in the grass in bare dirt. Just undisturbed grass where we saw a tree. No freaking idea. Rick and I still talk about it.
Be me, 15 years old. I moved to a new area, a small village surrounded by woods and fields. I hear stories about how there is an old haunted witch's house out in the woods. I forget all about it. One day a kid we know, who is a couple of years younger than us, comes riding his bike up the middle of the road like a maniac. He sees us, me and a couple of friends, slams the rear brake and skids his bike right in the middle of the road. He runs over to us and he is covered in sweat and shaking, looking terrified. He eventually tells us a story about how he was riding his bike out on the country roads when he felt like someone was watching him from the woods. He says he was so scared he was going to jump off his bike and run into the fields. He tells us he saw a little black monster in a tree in the woods and got out of there. He asks us not to tell anyone. We do not. Maybe a few weeks later, the haunted woods come up in conversation with some other friends. Someone suggests we should go out there and check it out. A group of about 10 or 11 of us end up walking out there to find it. We end up walking too far down the country road and have to double back in the woods to find the ruins of this old house. There is basically nothing left of it. One wall left standing and trees growing up through the foundation. I instantly have a really weird, panicky feeling like someone is watching me. I get terrified, and am probably close to having a panic attack. For sure, someone is in the woods watching. Nobody else is reacting like this, so I try to keep calm and not embarrass myself. I am looking up and checking the trees. Sure, someone is watching. Nothing happens. The feeling passes and we leave. About a week later, a few of us are talking about it with some girls, and they want to go and check it out. We go a different way this time, where we have to go down a really steep incline to get into the woods. As soon as we get down the incline, one of the girls starts freaking out, starts crying and saying she has to get out of the woods. Panic starts to spread, and both of the other girls start freaking out and crying. It would take too much effort to get back up the incline, so we have to go through the woods and come out on the other side. The girls stopped crying but wanted to get away from there as soon as possible. When we got away from there, two of the girls talked about how scared they were that someone was there watching us. So far, everything that has happened so far has happened in daylight, although it is a little bit dark the way it gets in thick woodlands. We decided to go out there at night one time. It is not completely dark yet, but it will be soon. We walk out there down the country road and it is pretty spooky. There are 5 of us and everybody mentions how scary it is at night. We leave and meet another friend in the village and tell him we had been there and it was scary. He wants to go back and see it at night. We go the other way through the fields with the steep incline down into the woods. As we are walking through the field about 30 to 40 yards from the woods, I see what looks like a figure at the tree line. We are getting closer, and I am scared. The dark outline of the figure moves. I do not think anyone has seen it but me. I can't speak. We are about 20 yards away, and the figure looks like it is wearing some kind of cloak. I try to say something, but I cannot speak. We are about 15 yards away, and a couple of other people see the figure. We kind of stutteringly say, "Wait, whoa, who?" The figure steps closer and a few spots on it light up glowing orange. The orange light glows inside it and shines up above it. Everybody starts screaming and we run. We get back to the village and everyone is on edge and does not know what to say. One friend is freaked out and acting really angry, asking everyone what it was and if we all saw the same thing. We meet the next morning before school and all agree not to tell anyone else about it. We never go back near the woods again.
Camping in northwestern New Mexico. It was just me and a friend. No big deal. We slept well, etc. We headed back to the truck and came across a single guy. He is sitting alone on a rock right along the trail with his dog. The dog is a huge and scary boxer mix, but surprisingly friendly. We sort of hollered hello at the guy from down the trail. No reaction. The dog comes and lets us pet him. Everything seems fine, but the guy never moves. I got close to see if he was okay, and he was definitely awake, but he did not react to anything. I suddenly take stock and realize he has a shovel and is pretty dirty. I have already been asking him if he is okay. Eventually, the dog starts to get nervous, and the dude never budges, so we keep on walking. I think we left him some water. We come around the next corner of the switchback. There are 3 people's worth of camping gear, poles, clothes, just scattered all over. We look around and see no one. We book it a good mile or so down the trail before we even acknowledge what just happened. It could have been some people tripping their asses off, but way out there, I was not about to wait to find out.
Any incidents in the last 6 months with the Megaturkey?
Sadly, we moved to Texas when I was 15. I mean, not too sad because I actually like it here. No immense turkeys are trying to murder me, but I have encountered some weird things in Austin when I was there. I've saved the best one for last, though. A couple weeks after the Megaturkey destroyed the car, I was out playing with Kaiser in the backyard. Our backyard was giant, like a big open clearing on a light hill surrounded by forest. He is rolling around in the grass and I'm lying there with him. There are surprisingly no bugs or birds or really anything out there in the middle of the goddamn summer. Kaiser falls asleep on his side, and I sort of close my eyes next to him for a few minutes. I wake up to Kaiser slamming his paws into my legs. He is whimpering and whining and nudging me, circling around toward the house and back to me. I get this wrenching feeling in my gut and I sit up. I sort of look around, but I do not see anything. I turn around and I see something dark and feathery on top of the tree line. When I stand and get a better look at it, I realize that it is fucking Megaturkey, and he is just staring right at me with his neck craned. This is the best view I have ever gotten of him, and he has got blood-red legs that look like John Cena-level muscular. He is completely still, and I stare at him and slowly make my way toward the house, watching him the whole time. He keeps watching me, and when I get to his left flank, he cranes his neck way out to keep staring at me. I keep staring, speed up, and nope back into the house. When I turn to run into the house, I hear flapping. I look back out there, and his black ass is perched on another tree that is closer to the house, continuing to have this staring match with me. I see a few branches from the last tree fall, big branches. After about 10 minutes of giving me the death stare, he takes off over the house. I never see him again.
I know this story sounds fake and cringy, but it's all true. This was probably around 9 p.m. and I was 16. I had just gotten into a huge fight with my mom and brother. I don't even remember what for. And being the dysfunctional family we were, we started getting physical. To disarm the situation, she left with him for a while, leaving me at the house alone. Probably went for a drive or to McDonald's or something. I was still really angry at her and was an angsty teen. So I went and got a picture she had on her dresser of my best friend and I. I put it on a plate and, I kid you not, made pentagram out of Dijon mustard around the plate on the table with my finger. I then lit the picture on fire on the plate. In my head, she would come home and see it and go, "Oh, I hurt poor Anons so badly, I was so wrong. Now I lost my favorite picture of him because of my sins against him," or some bullshit like that. As I watched the picture burn, a weird vibe came over the room and I got goosebumps all over. Something in the back of my head said, "Yo, this was a bad idea." and I put the plate in the sink and put the fire out and smeared the mustard around with my hand. I'm kind of weirded out now and just went from being enraged to spooked, so I decided to just head to my room for the night. I'm halfway down my hallway when suddenly I hear someone running up behind me on the carpet and fast. I stop and turn around thinking it's somehow my brother, but there is no one there. The footsteps, however, continued and I stood frozen and watched them run past me and down the hall to one of the back bedrooms in shock. Completely sober and awake. No one else is home. I've had other weird paranormal experiences in my life, but all of them can be easily explained or written off as hysteria, childhood imagination. Something about this one was different, though. I don't know what I even did, as I've never studied black magic or anything like that. I was simply trying to be dramatic and edgy.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.